Recently on board the Opal Star, the party was able to successfully protect and secure the medicine needed by the Valna on Rekura. The flight proved mostly uneventful aside from near encounter with the rich man's security forces, but Spectre reminds him that he owes her and the party is allowed to pass through. Now they have safely arrived at their destination. Okay, so you disembark. Tali's already got all the medicine loaded onto some floating dollies that she's easily able to get out of the cargo bay. As you all get out, you notice stepping out of the woods are 4 Valna. It's kind of like they weren't there and then suddenly they were.
Alright.
The feeling they're kind of good at being the sneaky.
Space elves. Fun.
Vi is a little put off by this, because she's also very sneaky, and is like, she doesn't appreciate being snuck up on, but...
Well, like, it's not like they appear behind you. They're stepping, like, directly in front, like, they're still a distance away, but you're sort of able to see them as they step out of the trees. They are very finely dressed. 2 of them look vaguely more lion, and 2 of them look slightly more tiger.
Question that I should have had before, but I didn't for some reason. When we were doing research on these people, are they relatively reclusive? As in they don't really talk to very many people in the Alliance?
It's not as much they're reclusive as they are still relatively one of the newer races to join, but they've been becoming more and more involved, so it's not as much that they're reclusive, but also, like, in looking up their history, you see that they've almost been wiped out before. So some of them do kind of try and spread out the location of their clans, and they can be a little good at making it harder to find them in certain situations, but they are not cutting themselves off from the outside world.
Reasonably new.
Yeah. As in, like, they've probably been apart for several generations.
They've already been in for several generations?
Yeah, it's just they're the most recent race.
Gotcha.
Or one of the more recent races next to the Prometheans who joined not long after they split from humanity.
Gotcha.
Which was around the creation of the Federation, which is old. I just haven't decided how old yet. The Federation's some form has been around for a while, just not as long as the Alliance has. Also, the Alliance has changed quite a bit since.
Then I am using my fake face.
Okay. You don't know if you have any fans in this particular colony? That's fair. So, 2 of the 4 start approaching closer, and they're the more kind of lion-looking ones. The male, he doesn't have the full-on mane, but his head does look a little fluffier. And the female walks along beside him, and the 2 more tiger ones are flanking them to the left and the right, and they're approaching a couple steps behind. And Spectre starts walking forward and just gestures for the rest of you to follow her. As she and Tali start walking forward, and Tali's pushing the floaty pushcart with the medicine on it. Does everyone follow?
Yeah.
What did y'all bring with you? It would have been explained that it's okay if you want to bring your weapons. But I don't know what you guys would decide to bring with you.
I'm in full normal kit.
Yeah, all of Vi's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, like, her bag and stuff. And weapons, yeah.
Okay, wearing some of the new clothes you bought, maybe, or the basic armor stuff.
I mean, I don't know. At least in my case, Vi always has her trench coat with her. She probably has different clothes under it, but yeah.
Trench coat's her thing. It's like her security blanket, her safety blanket. She doesn't go anywhere without it.
Yeah, and that is her armor jacket, so yeah.
That too.
For a couple different reasons, she does not like leaving without it.
Everyone else is same level of armed and armored. That's fine, because you notice Tali and Spectre both have some basic armor on as well as some weapons. I don't remember what all their weapons are. Spectra's got, she's got her pistol, and I think she also has the saber with her, and Holly is also armed, and as they walk up and the two more line people approach, there's a brief greeting back and forth in Valna before Spectra says something and just kind of nods her head to the two of you. And
Wait,
to you,
two
the
of
three
us?
of you. I can math. She nods her head to the three of you. I had to do a lot of math last night, I'm sorry. Someone paid for like a $49 object with 2 5s and the rest were 1s.
What?
Ooh.
So she nods to the three of you, and there's a pause, and the man nods and starts saying in common, "We thank you for bringing this medicine to us. Our communications officer informed us that it was an interesting tale. We very, very much appreciate your kindness. My name is Osaix, and this is my wife." He nods to the woman next to him. "And her name is Corshi. We would like to humbly welcome you to a dinner back at our colony as a way to repay you for this kindness." Word silence.
I'm letting Spectra take the lead on this, so I just don't want to speak for everyone.
In that case, Spectra will respond, "Of course, we would be honored." The man nods and his wife steps forward and says, "The honor is all ours. If you brought to Mount Long, we were very much hoping you would say yes." You notice that they were both kind of wearing quite a few necklaces. Like, she picks up one, you realize it's a sort of a whistle. And when she blows on it, you see these creatures stepping out of the woods. And I'm sure y'all have seen horses. So they look like horses, except for when you look closer, it's like the hair is a lot shorter. They have a sort of bony carapace on the front of their face. Aside from that, they look friendly, and they start to slowly walk up, and you see 4 of them don't have any sort of saddles or reins, but there are several others that come out that do have like a basic saddle and a basic sort of reins, and she gestures to you that you can pick whichever one of them you would like to ride, as she and the other members of their tribe don't typically need the help with them, but she's also aware that you are not as familiar with these creatures as they are. So they all get onto theirs and wait to see how you guys get onto yours, and it should be fun. Follow me. Is it still called animal handling?
No, but I have a feeling you do that. I think it... There isn't an animal...
Fairly certain it's xenobiology. Isn't it?
Yeah, xenobiology. That sounds right. Let's go with xenobiology.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
medicine is its own thing.
Yes.
This could go very badly.
All right. 21.
That's a 6.
Verda, you approach one. It immediately likes you, and you're able to hop on with no problem.
I'm like being nice with it. I'm like petting it and rubbing its head before I'm like talking to it before I actually try to get on.
It's very warm and a lot softer than you expected.
I might lean into the rubbing a little bit more.
Not like fluffy soft, as it is like a silky soft, and it has a mane. It feels... Horses' manes are typically like thick and coarse. I don't know if Farrah's ever actually been on a... Well, maybe you've been on a horse before. It still feels like thick and sturdy, but it's a lot smoother than you would expect. And Vi, you got a 6?
Yeah.
The first one you approach just immediately starts walking away. It does not like you.
Okay.
Would you like to roll again to try with another one? Because there's basically a small herd of these.
Okay. Does it seem just uninterested? Or scared, or what?
You just get the feeling like it's... You know how sometimes certain animals just don't like certain people?
Yeah.
Something about the way you approached it, it just does not like you. With your passive perception, you can probably see how Ferda was able to approach and sort of win the other one's trust. So if you want to try with another one,
Okay.
I'll let you do it with advantage.
Oh, good, because I just rolled another 6. So it would have been a 7, so thank you. Please. An 8.
Mhm.
I just get on the floating cart or something.
This one doesn't start backing away immediately, but you just kind of can tell by the look in its eye, it's not having it. And hang on, let me see if anyone else has noticed. I mean, do you want to ask for help?
Let's give it one more try. Let's see how bad it goes one more time.
Okay. Anima, what did you get?
I'm just gonna walk. I got a 4.
Would you like to try again?
Sure.
I mean, that one, it goes like it's gonna bite you before just trotting off to the other side of the clear space.
Let's try that one again.
Are these animals not herbivores? I'm concerned now.
Horses will bite you.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Horses will absolutely bite you. Horses are also omnivores.
Wait, what? Horses are not... Well, I mean, I guess if they have to be, they could maybe eat meat, but...
Oh, that's much better. That's an 18.
I'm gonna say the second one might be one of the slightly larger ones.
Yeah.
It just walks right up to you. After seeing you scare the other one off, you just feel this weird sort of like nuzzling sensation on your back, and you turn around, and it's just right there staring at you.
Aww.
Oh. Hello.
That's actually a thing horses do. They quote-unquote scratch each other with their upper lip, and it's a sign of affection, and it's really creepy when it happens to you and you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
There's suddenly something rubbing your back. Yeah, Anima, you are able to get on with no problem. Okay, let's see how...
I got a 13 this time, so I'm improving.
Okay, so with your third one, it takes some convincing, but you're able to, like, get up to it, and you at it a bit. You look over and you see Tali's letting one sort of sniff her hand, and you let yours do that, and it takes a couple minutes, but you're finally able to convince it to let you get on.
Okay, alright.
And, Spectra... It also takes her a minute, but she's able to convince it to let her get on, and for Tali's also able to, like, once it's had time to sniff her hand, she's able to get on. The others are just kind of, like, watching you guys. Some of you have no trouble. The others of you are struggling. Alexis, you might need to get new dice or put those in jail.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, that was the one that was rolling the higher of the 3, so yeah. I have 3d20s, and they all hate me.
I know that pain.
Yeah.
I was in one campaign a year before my character could hit anything.
Mm.
So once you're all settled with it, Talia is able to... actually, no, I think the two more leopard-looking ones, they take their space horses over and sort of lash the floating cart onto the back of the horses and start pulling it alongside. Their names are Cedric is the male, and Senno is the woman. So your horses kind of automatically start following along as Osaix and Corshi start leading the way. Anyone have a particular marching order they want to be in? Like, who wants to go first? Following them.
I'll probably be going first.
Okay. Imagine Spectra's kind of sticking up with them as well.
I'm deferring to the other more senior members of the crew in front of me, obviously.
And who's after Farida?
I'll go.
Yeah, so it's Farida, Vi, and then the two with the medical supplies are going to go in the middle, and Tali's going to go alongside them, just sort of kind of trying to keep it in the middle of the pack. Because, you know, better safe than sorry. And Anima, do you mind bringing up the back?
I'm bringing up the rear.
And it's a pretty peaceful ride. The trees around you are just huge and ridiculously tall, and there's lots of like vines and bushes, and you can tell they probably travel this path a lot because it looks well worn. That's how you're able to sort of get through without any problems. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was sort of like a natural animal trail. So as you're traveling along, what are y'all doing?
I guess I could roll a perception check. See what I see.
Okay, roll a perception.
I'm also gonna roll one.
Okay.
What dice has been nice to me this afternoon? It's not evening, it's afternoon.
Oh, yay!
Ooh, last time, so we'll see what you do this time.
What'd you get by?
22!
Nice!
I'll also go in on the perception.
Okay.
Oh, that's a 22.
Okay, Anima, what'd you get?
4.
Your horse is really cool.
Anima, you were very distracted by the fact that you were on an alien horse, and it's soft. So you just keep sitting there petting it.
I'll pet my horse.
Its head bops up back and forth. They kind of like look back at you every once in a while, and it's a little weird looking, but you love this horse. You're just like, I like this. But Ferda and Violina, would either of y'all's characters have ever had reasons to spend a lot of time out in the woods?
Depends on what the woods look like on our home planet.
When she was much younger, yeah, Vi spent some time in the woods.
Like, I imagine both of you've spent time playing in whatever constituted as woods. You've never been anything as dense as this forest, though, even when you were going to go deal with the rabid bears. So you are hearing all these various different sounds of insects and birds and like small creatures scurrying around. You also notice that there appear to be some shapes just kind of watching you hopping from tree to tree. And when you look, you can tell they're also Valna. Just like one or two of them. And it'll be insight. Both of you.
Makes me nice. Ooh.
Good lord, 24.
Dirty 20.
As you're watching how they seem to be reacting and following you, they don't seem to be paying as much attention to the group as they are like looking around at what's off in the distance. So it's less of they're spying on you and more of they're there to alert if something big and scary starts coming your way. They're high enough up in the trees to where they can see and hear for a distance.
Okay.
And with a planet that does not have a lot of population on it, and with the stories of like some of the fauna being a little aggressive at times if you get too close to it, you get the feeling it's a security measure just in case something starts wandering that could be potentially dangerous, so they could alert the group and possibly go call for backup if it's something really big. But they seem mostly relaxed. Well, actually, no, you wouldn't know that. They seem very alert. But you don't know if that's sort of their normal state of being, but you also get the feeling that this is something that they normally do anytime whenever they are receiving visitors or there are people traveling outside of the camp. Especially people that you guys are as important as the people who came out to greet you. And as you're walking, Tully's quietly speaking to you over the comms, just sort of like a heads up about, yeah, just so you guys know, there's going to be a really big feast, and you can tell she's speaking quietly, but it's so the people next to her maybe can't hear her. But it's loud enough that you're able to hear it through the comms. Try and not eat everything. It's a cultural thing of theirs, so they're going to prepare a pretty big feast from what I gather. However big it is, try and not eat all of it, because sometimes they might take it as a sign that what they have was not enough to satisfy you, so try and leave some behind, and it's a sign of respect thing.
I probably sort of message her back very quietly. So, specifically, you want us to like leave things on our plates, or just like on the platters that the food would be served on?
It's okay if you clean your plate, but don't eat everything that's on all of the platters. Also, they may ask you to leave things such as shoes and weaponry at the door. That's also a sign of respect thing. I don't know if they have any other traditions.
My drones slide in under my collar and just kind of vanish. Since they're just the size of coins, they're barely noticeable.
She's gonna be like, if it's like a knife or something, it should be fine, but once again, sign of respect to that, because their logic is that you are safe in their home, and if you are super armed in their home, it shows that you don't trust that they will protect you in their own home. They might have other things. Just kind of roll with it. Don't go poking around their house. They can be kind of private about personal home stuff, so if you need something like the bathroom, just ask. Don't go poking around. It'll be fine. They're pretty understanding if there's like a slip up or something. Just a heads up. Does anyone else want to do something or say something? And are you just gonna keep petting your new horse friend?
Petting my friend. I'm making a friend.
Anima's making a new friend.
Anima has made a friend.
Does Anima come up with a name for the new friend?
No. I mean, I assume we're not going to be here very long, and if I name it, I'll get attached. I can't bring him with me.
Like, I kind of recommend against trying to smuggle a horse aboard a spaceship.
Yeah, no.
No.
Also, I don't know. It was probably not had a pet before, so like, why? You know?
Does anybody even know what the concept for pet is?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. You've probably heard people talking about like getting weird pets for their kids. You're aware of it, and you've never had one, so you don't know what having a pet looks like.
Yeah. Also, this is not my pet. This is their animal, so
You're just gonna sit there enjoying it.
I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna spend time with my new friend, and that's it. Anima has no idea that anything's going on.
Well, you would have heard Tully on the comms.
Yeah, I would have heard that, but like,
You don't know that there's Valna in the trees. Just keeping an eye.
Nope.
Hi, Ferda. Y'all want to do anything or say anything?
No, I think I'm just listening.
Yeah, no, we're just listening, looking around. I may occasionally sort of glance over at where the scouts are looking, but I'm not really expecting to see to see a lot of what they're seeing.
I will missive back to Vi, who's doing the research on this group of people, and ask, how are these people related with magic? Do they like it? Do they tolerate it? Is it better to act like I don't do magic?
So they know an Esper can be dangerous, but they also accept that it is a natural part of life, as the crucibles, as strange as they may be, are a part of the order and way the universe works.
Okay.
So they aren't afraid of it, but they do have a respect for it.
Alright, I can work with that.
They know that it can be dangerous, because what wiped out most of them might have been magic related. I don't remember exactly what the book said. I'll have to go back and find it. But it has also proved helpful for them, so at one point they may have been more suspicious of it, but like how they have started adopting technology, they have accepted that Espers exist and that they can be a good thing. It's just like they know that someone with Espers can be dangerous, but they also know someone without them could also be dangerous. So it's respect it. They're not afraid. You don't feel like they're gonna have an issue with Verida's particular brand of magic, as long as she doesn't accidentally shatter a door.
That's not on the schedule for today.
Yeah, okay, so I relate that to Ferda.
You'll see her just kind of nod.
Verida just randomly nodding to absolutely nothing.
I mean, we're kind of on horses, so we're all kind of nodding anyways.
Also, for context, the scouts that you saw, they're kind of like on both sides of the path.
Oh, okay.
It's not like they're watching anything in particular, it's just like an honor guard kind of thing.
Okay.
As you're walking, you see Spectra's making polite conversation with the two up in the front. feels like less than half an hour. And you notice the horses have stopped, and they all just kind of automatically fan out in a rough sort of line. And everyone roll perception.
That's gonna be a 3 for me.
You see nothing.
15.
I also rolled a 15.
So, Vi, you could tell that the Valna are looking at something, but you can't really notice anything in the surrounding area. Like, if you stare long enough, you can see what you think might be shapes and outlines of things. You can't really pick anything out of the woods around you. And for a couple seconds, you have no idea why you have stopped and fanned out.
Is it something in front of us? Is it to, like, the sides?
They're looking straight ahead.
Okay, then I'll mental missive Spectra and go, do you know why we've stopped? I can barely see some sort of vague shapes, but is something going on?
You get a response back. Waiting for the scouts to finish with the perimeter check. Anyone else have a reaction to the random stopping?
Yeah, I'd like to, go on alert, see what's up.
Okay. Anima?
It's probably fine.
Question nothing, accept everything.
After Spectra tells me, I'll relay it to Fair Done Anima, that it's a perimeter check.
You all hear Vi's voice in your head letting you know that, but you're still not 100% sure what's going on. And after about another 30 seconds, there's a really soft thump as one of the Valna scouts that you saw kind of hopping around, or at least you think it's one of them. You couldn't quite see details. It's another one that looks more like a leopard, except the fur is darker, so it doesn't quite look like a panther, but it looks really close. And he just kind of nods, and Corshi looks back and he says, "Welcome to our home." She makes a gesture, and you all just sit and watch as Vi, where some of the places you thought you saw vague shapes, you watch as, like, it almost feels like these, it looks like buildings, but when you look closer, you can see they're made out of, like, tent-like material, just start appearing. And Vi, since you've probably dealt with some sort of camouflage before, you get the feeling that they deactivated whatever sort of camouflage was hiding the tents.
Okay.
It's not like ramshackle tents. These are like very well constructed permanent livings, but it's in that, like, it's got I'm good with words. But when you look, they're made of a sort of like fabric material. And there's a bigger one in the center. There are some smaller ones that look more like they might be personal homes. There's some that are open in the front where it looks like it might be kind of shops. There's one that has some... For a second, nothing happens, but then, like, once the camouflage comes off and all the buildings appear, you hear this sort of buzz, and it's a bit like a glittering dome kind of appears as they reactivate whatever sort of shield they have that's protecting their city. I don't know if it's quite city-sized, but there's an impressive collection of tents here. And as the camouflage comes down, you see Valna stepping out to see what is going on. There's also a larger tent off to the left, where you get the feeling based off of sort of the way the people stepping out of it are dressed and the fact that through the open tent flap you can see there are a lot of cots. You get the feeling that that is the hospital. And Audric and Sinnoh, who had the medicine, immediately start sort of pulling off to that way, and Tully follows. She just says over her shoulder, "I'm gonna help them get the medicine prepared and start treating those that are really bad. I'll join you out later." Spectra just nods and says, "Just remember, don't get in the way, Tally." "Won't." "No, you won't." So Dolly's going off to help administer medicine, because it's definitely her thing. Corshi and Osaix gesture towards the central tent as they dismount from their horses and pat them, and the horses kind of nod and go off to, you sort of see, it's a fenced-in area, but there isn't really a gate, it's just kind of like an open spot. It's less of a, they are keeping the horses in there as they have marked off that place as being the horses' place. And there's also a little tent structure that you see is completely open on one side so they can go in and out of it like a stable. And so once they dismount and their horses just immediately start going over there. And Spectra also dismounts and kind of gestures for you guys to do the same.
Oh no.
Hello, Peter. Yep.
Give your horse one last loving pat, Anima, and it just kind of reaches over and does the little scratchy thing on your arm.
On my arm, or does it like snuffle in my hair?
Yeah, it just gives you like a little affectionate little nuzzle before trotting off.
My new friend.
Ferda, Anima, not Ferda, not Anima, Violina, you both getting off?
Yeah,
You sound very nervous about that.
I'm just worried about having to do another roll and it ending badly.
I mean, I wasn't going to make you do another roll. Would you like to do another roll?
No, I'm good, but thank you for asking.
These horses are pretty chill, so...
It was just because I had so much trouble getting onto the horse. Or getting the horse to like me enough. So, no, I'm good. I'll get off quietly. Gently sort of pat its neck and let it go back to its friend.
It just kind of gives you a nod, stares at you for a second, and then just shakes its head and trots off. I'm guessing, Ferda, you just slide off and give it a pat.
I've been, like, muttering to it this whole time, so it's probably like, I'll see you in a bit.
Have you just been having a one-sided conversation with your new horse friend?
Yes.
About anything in particular?
No, not really. Just about it being cute.
It's also going to give you a little nuzzle before it runs off. It just kind of tosses its mane a little bit. And so as you kind of start gathering around where Spectra, Corshi, and Osaix are, Osaix gestures towards the large tent and says, "We have prepared a feast for you. It would be our honor if you would join us. You have done us a great service that we couldn't begin to repay." And Spectra just sort of gives him not a full-on bow, but it's just like sort of bows her head towards him and says, "The honor is ours to have been able to help."
We echo the captain's gesture.
Yeah, I'd say follow Spectra and sort of nod while she says the honor was ours.
Me too, yeah.
Right, so you all start heading towards the main tent. With the tree cover, you notice it does feel a little darker, but you can tell, like, the sun is still up, so it's not, like, hard to see. You also know, like, it's about dinner time. I mean, like, a little bit of an early dinner, but it is time for the food. Because you've had a bit of an interesting day today. And you notice that there are people kind of poking their heads out and watching you, and they sort of nod in respect. Some of them seem very genuinely happy to see you. You see some children kind of poking their head out of tent flaps, looking out from behind their parents. There's one stack of crates that you guess carry food. You see a couple little furry faces poking up from behind them, just watching you with big wide eyes. It's little children, and you are visitors, and one of you is blue. And they're just fascinated by this.
Another one is gray. Did you forget I'm dark gray?
Yeah. So they seem to be fascinated by all of you, and Ferda, even though your hair color looks slightly different when you have your face on, it's still really long and wavy, so they're just staring, just kind of watching, staring, eyes really wide, like, oh, cool new people. And And as you walk in, you see Spectra goes in before you, and she takes her weapons and places them all in there's like a little sort of cubby hole kind of thing. It's like a shoe organizer, except for the holes go back farther, and you see her carefully arranging her weapons in one. She also slips her shoes off. And there is like a little sort of square divot in the ground that has water, and you see that Corshi and Osaix have already sort of dipped their feet in the water and shook it off. So you see Spectra, after she takes her shoes off, she does the same thing, then sort of steps on a towel and gives you a look saying, let's go with it.
Following suit.
Alright, so you guys all follow suit. Does anyone keep any of their weapons on them, or we get rid of all of it?
I don't really carry very many, so yeah, I don't keep anything.
Okay.
Well, Vi puts down saber, pistol, and her combat knives. Yeah.
Not keeping anything, I'm getting rid of all of it.
You each put your weapons in a cubby and go to get settled. And you might have been a little concerned when Tully said, don't eat everything that's on the table, because like you don't know how much food they have prepared. You see how much food's on the table, all concern goes out the window. It's a pretty nice feast that they've got. They've got platters of fruits, like freshly cooked vegetables, rolls, a little bit of everything. A lot of stuff that you don't know what it is, you've never seen it before. But it all smells really, really good. And Spectra has already taken a seat. Corshi is the one that takes the spot at the head of the table, and Osaix sits off to her left. She has gestured for Spectra to sit to her right. And as you walk in and try and figure out where to sit, she says that you can sit wherever you feel the most comfortable. And except for I think spot next to Osaix has been safe for Tali. But wherever you guys would like to sit.
Probably like a seat away from the captain, leaving room for Tally.
I'm gonna sit next to Farida.
I guess I'll sit next to Anima. Yeah.
Hey!
Just all
in a row.
sitting in a row.
Anima's the middle.
The tank is in the middle.
You put the tank in the middle, yep. Good spot for me.
So you can just put your arms out and shove both of them behind you if you need to.
Super duper, yeah.
Yeah. When there's one tank, the middle is the best spot, because then they can go wherever they need to.
Yeah.
That is true. You're sitting for a few minutes, and Audric and Sinnoh come in shortly after you all have gotten yourselves situated, and they sit next to Osaix, facing you. About 2 or 3 minutes later, Tali comes in because she was able to help treat all the ones who were most affected, and so the doctors had a handle on it, and they just very politely shooed her out to go join the dinner. You can see there's a couple other spots prepared at the table, but people have not arrived yet. If you guys want to chat about anything or ask anything.
No, we'll just wait politely and maybe look at what drinks we're having.
Engage in polite conversation, but I can't think of anything to ask.
I'm in guest mode. I'm not trying to do anything.
Okay, well, as you're sitting there, you see that Corshi and Spectre are in a conversation. It's kind of a hushed conversation.
Subtly trying to listen to all the conversations that are around me, so yeah.
When Audric and Sinnoh come in, they start talking to Osaix about how medicine is good. It's already helping those who were most affected. They're letting the doctors handle how to continue distributing it amongst the people, as well as rationing out for any sort of recurrences that happen. You get the feeling that this illness is recurring. Like, it's not something that's, like, constantly happening, but it's something they've been through before. So they've already got a thing in place. It just might have taken them a little longer than they're used to get the medicine. But they said everyone's going to be alright, and Tali is very, very happy to hear that. But as you look over at Spectra and Corshi, it's Whoever's kind of watching that conversation, roll me an insight.
Insight?
Or perception, whichever's better.
I would also probably be listening around once she saw that it was a sort of hush-hush conversation. Ooh. I didn't roll great on that. You said insight or perception?
Yes.
If we can go with passive again, it would be still the 16 for perception.
Okay. And fair enough, what'd you get?
Ooh.
Or on insight, or since we seem to be using passive perception, that's going to be a 12.
Okay. As you're watching that conversation, Corshi seems more inquisitive, directed towards Spectra. And there's just like a moment where Spectra pauses and then her eyes go wide and you're seeing comment. So, you were the one who hired me for that job. I didn't realize. It's so good to see you're doing well, and I'm glad I was able to help. Tully kind of perks up at this and looks around, and she says, "What are you talking about?" Spectra looks at her and replies, "You remember when we were helping recover a lost artifact that had been mistakenly taken by someone to whom it did not belong, so we helped return it to the owners, but we didn't have direct contact with them? That doesn't narrow it down." The Valna totem. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Wait, you're telling me it was this tribe's totem? Yes. Corshi responds, "Yes, we were very much in need of help because that was a incredibly important item to our people and our tribe, as well as the Valna as a whole. It's an item that represents our tribe's connection to our people, and we were devastated when it was taken. It was beyond amazing that we were able to get it back, and I didn't really realize that you have saved our people more than once now. It was no trouble. There's no way we weren't going to help. Oh, but you've earned this feast even more. You've done us a great service, and I'm afraid we're still waiting for the children to show up. They tend to take the time, but they should be here soon. Thanks, can you check on them?" Before Osaix can respond, you hear the pitter-patter of feet as you see a couple. They're not as young as some of the children you saw earlier. They look closer to, you would guess, like teenage-ish. They scamper and like, "Sorry, Mother, sorry, Father, we didn't mean to be late." And then they just stop and stare at you guys, but they realize you're there.
I'll just smile away a little bit.
They grin sheepishly and just sort of like settle into the seats, and you see Corshi just looking at them like, "Suddenly remember we were going to have guests tonight. They were the ones who helped deliver the medicine." "Yeah, of course," one of them says, while the other one is just kind of refusing to make eye contact, while also being very distracted by the gray-skinned, purple-eyed, red-haired lady in front of him. Anima, you're used to people back in the Federation kind of looked at you like you were some kind of weird freak. You're not getting that vibe. This kid seems fascinated by you. You are strange, and you are wonderful to them. Of course, she says, "Well, now that we have everyone here, I believe it is time to eat and eat your fill." So there is a huge banquet spread out in front of you. There's a variety of drinks. One that's kind of more tea-like. There's one that's a little more fruity. There's the equivalent of wine or some form of alcohol. Not particularly strong alcohol, but it is available. And there's also sort of water, which you guys can pick what it is you would like to drink, as well as whatever on this giant table full of all kinds of things that you would like to try. Like I said, some of it seems familiar, and there's some meat on the table, but some of it looks rather odd. So who's going to be adventurous and try something new and strange looking?
Okay, I'm gonna start with the thing that looks most unfamiliar.
Okay.
I'm not going to take a lot of it. I'm just going to Like a few bites.
Fruit, a vegetable, or meat?
I don't know. Whatever looks weirdest.
As you're looking for the weirdest thing, there's one thing. You can't tell if it's a fruit, a vegetable, or a meat or not.
Oh no.
Oh no. I have made a mistake.
Just give me a straight D20 roll.
Oh shit. 11.
As you bite into this, it's not the best thing you've ever eaten. It's not bad. Like, you're able to cut off a piece of it and then you try that. Like, it's got kind of like a gummy texture that's got a really weird mouthfeel. The taste isn't particularly strong. And it's not bad, but it's also not great. And Tali just looks over at you as you eat that and she's like, oh, one for the weird stuff. Nice.
Pretty much what I want to do is take, like, just a little taste of everything.
Okay.
That's what I want to do. Starting with the weirdest stuff and ending with the stuff that's most familiar. Because I like different stuff. Like, I'm going to try as much as I can. Because I like food.
Yeah, this is probably the widest spread of food you've had access to.
Yeah. I want to know. I'm curious. I'm not going to take, like, too much of anything. Just a spoonful. And then if I really like something, I'll take just a little bit more.
I'm not going to make you roll for everything because there's a lot of food on the table.
Yeah.
But as you're going around, there are some things that are just kind of not great. There's like a thing or two where you just don't like it. And when you get to stuff that's really gross, does Anima just kind of swallow it down and pretend like she likes it, or is she going to try and subtly spit it out and hope no one notices?
Nope, she doesn't want to be rude, she's gonna try and get it down.
Okay. Performance check.
Oh shit. Which of these dice has been screwing me over less? Oh no.
What?
What's my performance? Where is my sheet? 3.
Oh no.
Hang on, let me... Okay, so most of the adults don't really notice, like some of the kids in front of you. One of them definitely does, and there's a moment of, oh god, have I offended them? Like, oh no, please don't tell me I offended them. And the kid just kind of like gives you a very understanding nod and points to something else on the table. And when you take a bite of that, it's delicious.
I give him a thumbs up. Her, him.
Let's just say there's a boy and a girl at the table.
Whichever one's in front of me that pointed, I give them a thumbs up.
Okay. Just kind of like a giggle, and just sort of like general chit-chat around the table, and you are able to find several things that you do like, and you're able to eat your fill. What about Vi and Ferda? What are y'all going for?
So probably some familiar things, maybe some of the... I don't think I'd try, like, the unfamiliar meat, per se. At least not without, like, seeing if someone else gets more of it. But definitely, like, some of the strange fruits, I would say.
Go for the thing that the chieftain goes for first. So I'll watch what he does and then copy him, and I'll have what he's having.
So are you following Osaix, or are you following Corshi, who's at the head of the table?
The head of the table.
Yeah, that's Corshi, the female.
Okay.
You get the feeling they kind of co-lead, in a way. I'm not sure if there's a de facto leader between them, but the others seem to be deferring to them, and she goes for kind of a couple particular things, and you go for them as well, and they're good, and also probably might kind of point out a couple other things that Corshi may not be going for, and she's like, try that, it's really good. Ooh, this stuff over here is really spicy.
Ooh, spicy. Gimme.
Ollie just knows exactly what she's going for, or at least she thinks she does. She's just like grabbing random stuff.
She looks confident.
She takes a bite of one fruit, and just her face just immediately puckers up, and it's almost comical because it's like her face puckers up and her tail just like sticks like straight out for a second there. And it takes her a second to regain her composure.
Cartoon character.
Spectre just has to stop in the middle of eating and just starts laughing. Not like laughing out loud, but she's just like giggling to herself. Once Tally's recovered, she's like, okay, maybe don't try that. And she'll make recommendations to all of you, and it's a nice conversation. Is there anything in particular, any conversations anyone wants to bring up?
Not really starting conversation, but I am kind of listening out to hear what kind of music's happening.
There might not be like as much conversation about like what music people are listening to because it's more of the adult table, but
I don't mean bringing it up in conversation. I'm just listening to hear if maybe outside I hear music going on, or this is just observation stuff, not actual conversation.
Might catch some of the two teens at the end of the table might just kind of start muttering back and forth about music stuff. Like they aren't really mentioning any names, but you get a feeling if you want to learn more about what kind of music the people here listen to, or like any like what their musical preferences are. I'm gonna go with the kids. A lot of the conversation, it starts with how is everyone doing, like how long has it been since the plague cropped up, talking about how they've adapted. Tribe has only been at this location for a couple of generations, and they've found a way to settle in, and after a while the conversation switches to sort of more general world politics stuff and things like that, and different decisions going on, higher level stuff. There's mentions of planets that you're not entirely familiar with. Anima, Vi, anything y'all want to talk about or ask about?
I'll mental missive Callie real quick and ask her, I know you mentioned that they're private people. Would it be okay if I asked about some of their necklaces?
She just like looks at you and nods and mental misses like, oh, of course.
Alright, then I'd like to ask a bit about their jewelry, their necklaces. I'll ask questions about it. But yeah, sort of get to know more about them.
Let's say, and they're sort of talking about their tribe settling, and one of them brings up how they crafted the necklace that was the whistle sheet that you saw one of them use to summon the horses.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gives you an in to start asking about some of their jewelry, and they start explaining some of like the cultural significance of some of the items that they wear, how some of them it's kind of like a rite of passage to earn it, others it's you get a feel for like what kind of things are like probably shouldn't reproduce commercially.
Yeah.
There's also, they talk about some of the more general things, maybe talk about some of like the crafting practices.
Okay.
Do you share your interest in jewelry, I'm assuming?
Yes.
When you mention your interests, they shift more towards things that might fit your sort of jewelry business, and they show some pieces that they got that are more decorative than significant and talk about the different styles and things. So you're able to learn and maybe get some ideas for pieces you may want to market towards the Valna people.
Okay.
And am I fair to anything y'all are curious about, or any maybe different parts of the conversations you might want to sort of jump in on, or?
Honestly, mostly just listening.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just...
Kind of along for the ride?
At this point, yes.
At some point they will start asking questions about the two of you, just general, what are you interested in, what brought you to working, and at some point the story of how you were able to rescue the medicine was recounted. Spectre and Tally definitely intentionally leave out the part of how they got the information about the theft. It's just that they make it sound like they decided that they wanted to help deliver the shipment because they knew it could be vulnerable and like someone might try and go after it, and you were able to protect it. No, they would never steal information from someone's computer and then find out about a planned theft and then decide to dig him over in every way possible. Never.
That sounds about par for the course.
They just leave that part out. And so the question definitely does come up to the both of you, Ferda and Anima, asking about, we're curious to know why you're traveling with the crew of the Opal Star and why you're so dedicated to helping people you've never even met before.
People in misery are people that are worth helping.
So I don't think at any point it's been mentioned that y'all are from the Federation, so they're just assuming that you were born and raised Alliance. But they do seem very touched by your comment, Ferda. Anima, do you have anything you want to add?
I tell them that the captain rescued me from a very dark place, and now I will follow her wherever she needs me.
They seem a little surprised by this. I think Sinnoh is going to be the one, because I think she's probably sitting closer to you. Also, the kids are just the kids stop in the middle of their eating and just kind of stare at you even more, just kind of in awe. But Sinnoh looks at you, Anima, and says, sometimes we all find ourselves in dark places. I'm glad that you have made it out of that place and that you have had friends.
Thank you. So am I.
Ollie's like, yeah, it really wasn't a nice place where we found them, but sometimes you just can't say no to people that need help, even if they don't realize they need help. And at that, you kind of feel the rest of them sort of looking at the two of you, Vi and Ferda, as they realize that you all may have been in the same place Anima was.
Not nearly as bad as Anima.
Yeah.
If someone else elaborates, that's fine, but I'm not going to elaborate further than that. I'm going to stare at the table or my plate or whatever, because this attention is making me very uncomfortable.
I feel like at some point the attention is going to kind of shift back to Spectre unless someone wants to say they want to elaborate.
I'll let the captain choose if they want to say that or not. I'm assuming that missions into non-Alliance territory are not exactly things that the public need to be told about. So I'm just smiling and saying, no, Anna is now in a much better place than we all were. Whole thing was sketchy.
Spectre's probably gonna notice the discomfort and change the conversation as the attention shifts back to her. Anima, you notice that kid in front of you noticed your awkwardness and is like making faces at you, trying to like get you to smile or laugh.
Oh.
He's trying to do so covertly.
I'm gonna make a face back at him.
Roll me performance check. See if this is a funny face or if the response is, oh no, have I made her angry?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. 12!
He seems like momentarily taken aback before he realizes that you're just making a face back at him. So you guys just sit there making faces back and forth before you hear Corshi bark really softly. Zach, stop that. He just kind of looks sheepish for a second. She's like, yes, Mom. Goes back to his food.
When he looks up, I'm gonna, mouth sorry at him.
Just giggles and makes another face at you really quick before going back to his food. Now the conversation is kind of keep going back and forth until you didn't think you'd be able to eat most of the food, but most of the food, it does end up getting eaten. There's still some left on the platters, and she's just like, oh, this worked out well. Now we can get these delivered over to the people in the medical center. I'm sure now that they're back on their feet, they could use some food. Talon's like, I can help with that. Oh, no need. Get it taken care of. The we have a bit of a celebration going on. It's a traditional thing, if you would like to go out and watch. Sure. Everyone just kind of gets up and starts shuffling out. The kids lead the way. Nuzak, the one you were kind of bonding with, Anima, just smiles at you real big, he's excited that you get to see this, and dashes off. And as you go out, there are a bunch of dancers grouped up in the middle, and Spectra explains that it's a traditional celebration of the Valna, and most tribes practice it, and it's sort of the celebration of the aversion of a disaster, which a long time ago this illness very well could be, but thanks to the medicine it's not as much of an issue now, but they still do celebrate. So some seating has been pulled out and everyone's able to just sort of sit in a circle as the dancers in the middle do their traditional dance, and it's full of just energy and joy. And as this is going on, a bunch of the little kids start coming out. You notice they are gathering around you, and these are the younger ones, and just staring at you with these big wide eyes. And Anima especially, they kind of start gathering around you. They just seem just so enamored and curious, you all are the most wonderful thing they've ever seen. How do you guys react to this as you're sort of watching the dance and you notice that some wide-eyed children are starting to kind of surround you?
I'm paying attention to the performance. Are there any special effects? It's my thing.
You don't notice a lot of Esper-related special effects, but there are some people who are very expertly... They have, streamers that they're dancing with. Some of them are dancing with knives. There might be someone there kind of playing around with fire. Not really a lot of... It could just be a traditional choice. It could just be not a lot of them have that ability. But it is rather fascinating to watch, because you can tell from your time as a performer, it's kind of thing that takes a lot of practice to be able to do right, and it feels very, very natural to them as you watch it. You probably at some point do notice the kids, because you feel little hands just kind of occasionally very, very gently, just petting your hair. You'll hear step, step, step. Feel a very gentle touch, and then step, step, step as they run away.
That's fine.
Because your hair looks very soft. And Valina, how are you reacting?
So they came up to us from sort of the front side, at least.
You're sitting on benches, so it's not like there's kids sneaking up on you, and they're not being stealthy. So you can hear them walking up behind you, and they're just kind of really wide-eyed. You don't even need to roll insight. They're just completely enamored by your blue.
Yep, that I am.
One of them's gonna get up close to you and just be like, "You're so pretty. Are you an angel?"
Well, thank you. I'm not sure how to answer if I'm an angel or not, but thank you so much for the compliment. I think you're really beautiful too. I've never seen a Valna person before, really. And so it's wonderful just being able to be here.
Really? You've never seen us before and you helped us?
Yeah.
Must be an angel. Runs off at that to go tell his friends. You may occasionally feel some of them also just kind of very carefully touching your hair. They're there. Just very gentle, sort of. There may every once will be a hand on your arm, and you're just whoa. They're just completely and totally fascinated. Anima, how are you reacting to this?
I'm going to... This is making me nervous, and I don't know why, because it's not even me. I'm going to pull the tie out of my braid and shake it out.
Oh yeah, because you do have the long red hair.
Yeah.
as you do that, you just kind of hear a, oh. Everyone's all like a little hand will sort of pet your hair. At one point, one of them is going to come up and be like, you look really strong.
I have to be, so that I can make sure all of my friends stay safe.
Oh, I thought you looked like a protector. You look like you could lift me. This kid looks like he's probably not even like 80 pounds soaking wet. He's a small kid. I'm pretty sure anyone in the party could pick him up.
I'm gonna lean in real close and... Do you think it would be alright if we tried?
His eyes go really wide and he nods.
I'm gonna pick him up.
Are you gonna do like the one-handed pickup, two-handed pickup?
Two-handed. I'm gonna be careful.
You don't have any problem picking this kid up. He holds very still for you. And he's also rather soft. He just starts going. Go. Can you do it with one hand? Just like wraps his arm around your bicep and like wiggles until you like let him go.
Yeah.
And then just hangs off of your arm. Just giggling. And you see like other kids getting really wide-eyed and approaching you because they're just like, ooh, she's strong. What if she can lift me? If Annaba's okay with this, some of these kids might kind of start climbing on you like a jungle gym.
Feels it, and she tenses, and she holds very still, and she just lets them.
Because, like, I also imagine you're still sitting down.
Uh-huh.
So one of the really little ones, with the help of some of the bigger ones, just climbs up to where they're sitting on your shoulders and just kind of, like, rests their head on top of your head. You've got, like, two hanging on your arm. You can feel them, like, breaking your hair.
Aww.
At some point, Spectre looks over and just, like, does a double take when she sees this. You see there's also some kids braiding her hair. And some of them are just, like, completely distracted by Tali's tail, which is twitching back and forth. And you see her glancing behind her, and you can tell, like, she knows they're back there. She's just letting them have fun with it. So as you're trying to just enjoy this performance, you have children all over you. As the performance starts winding down, the children, like, they know it's almost over, so they kind of start scattering before their parents can realize what they've been doing. They just scatter and go back until, like, when the rest of the Valna kind of look over to you and see how you're doing. There are no kids to be seen. You get the feeling they're still kind of watching you from the distance. At this point, it's getting pretty dark, and they invite you to spend the night. And at first, Spectre's like, oh no, that won't be necessary. We can spend the night back on their ship. When she says that, Osaix will say, I'm afraid we don't recommend traveling this late at night. And Spectre looks at him. Why not? And you hear this crash or something hits the barrier outside, and he's like, why don't we go back into our tent and we'll explain. And Spectre gestures for you all to follow, and you settle in sitting in a circle. Most of the rest of the group disperses, but Corshi follows him inside. He sits in a chair and she stands behind him. They take you to a different part of the tent. It basically feels more like a sitting room. I want to say they've dragged in enough seats where everyone can sit down, but Corshi opts to stand with her hand on Osaix's shoulder as he explains that their tribe has had a tradition since moving to this planet. So the Valna have a way of developing a sort of psychic bond with like large beasts that live on a planet. And since moving to this planet, since there are some that are a little more aggressive sometimes, they have developed a habit of they will find and bond with one to sort of serve as their defender. Like, it's not like they keep it captive. It is still free to go about as it normally would. It just once they bond with it, it feels sort of a need to protect them, so they basically find a big beast to scare off all the other big beasts.
Mm-hmm.
And their last one passed recently. And due to the illness that hit, they have not been able to find and connect with another one. And even though they now have the medicine, they're still not quite strong enough to do it themselves. Osaix says, "We regret to ask more of you after you've already done so much, but I'm not sure how much longer our defenses can stand against the creature. We have found one that we could bond with, but some of the others that start to attack, we're not sure how much longer we can keep our people safe even with our defenses. We can help provide some backup distracting the creature, but if you could help the device on the creature that allows us to develop the bond, you would be saving us once more and we would be forever in your debt." Basically how he explained it, the psychic bond, it's kind of like imprinting.
Yeah. To make sure that I heard this right, that creature is currently outside attacking the dome, right?
You're not sure if that's the one that's attacking or if some big thing just accidentally ran into the dome. There is some aggressive thing that is making itself known.
I'll look at the captain with the look of, "Hey, can we go have some fun?"
Up to you. There's not much I can do in direct combat, but I can provide the backup.
Okay, you can leave the combat to the silly people here.
How do the rest of you feel about this?
Sure. I'm not sure how much help I can personally be, but
Dexterous. Dexterity is helpful.
yeah. But I don't have a lot of strength.
What all is entailed in hooking up this device onto the creature?
There's a device that you can place either on the creature's head, and he just kind of like putting a crown on, or it can also be wrapped around the neck. Closer to the head, the better. We prefer to not have to render it unconscious before placing the device on. Very little chance that this can be done without some injury being done, but they can sort of help heal the creature back. But the device needs to somehow be placed on its head. And Spectra explains that she has a sniper rifle that can be laced with... Actually, no, she doesn't have it, but they do have a sort of makeshift sniper rifle that fires tranq darts, and Spectra says that she can post up in one of their vantage points and help sort of tranquilize it a bit if it starts getting too out of hand. They know ways to sort of confuse and disorientate this beast. They just don't have anyone that would be strong enough to hold it down or dexterous enough to like be able to safely get on its back, put the device on its head.
Chieftain, a question about the rumbling that we just heard. Was that an accidental thing, or is that an attack on this dome?
This early in the night, it's probably one of the smaller of the creatures. Not the creature we're looking for, but the more time has passed since our last defender died, the more creatures have tried to test themselves against our defenses. Creature will be coming later.
Chieftain, can you explain what this creature is like? How it maybe attacks?
This creature does have a large horn on its head, which it can use to pierce or sometimes gore other creatures, and it also has a rather fearsome bite. Those are the things I would worry about the most. It is a rather large beast. It can prove rather strong. It's not particularly smart. It sees very well in the dark. We have a few hours before it will be close enough to engage with, but we would very much appreciate your help and will provide whatever assistance we can.
I'm down. What about y'all?
Sure. Let's try it.
Of course.
I'm totally in, though I'll probably be a better use for emergency medic. Yes, and I can provide backup from afar if things get too much out of hand.
We're doing this tomorrow or tonight?
Or she answers. The creature will be here in a few hours, so we have some time to get things set up and get those who can help provide distraction a chance to get ready to provide that distraction. Wonderful. Let's go tame a beast, shall we?
Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned next time to find out what happens on board the Opal Star. If you don't want to wait, you can get early access to our episodes over at patreon.com/pseudonymsocial. If you like our show, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcasting app so people can know where to find us. We couldn't do this without your help. Aboard the Opal Star is a production of Pseudonym Social, changing reality one story at a time. It is DM'd and produced by me, Brianna Toiber.
I'm Casey, and I'm playing Anima the Ashen Forged.
Victor, I'm playing Farida the Promethean.
My name's Alexis, and I am playing Mylena Sorrell, the Eldori.
With music by Patrick Chester of Chester Studios. To get more information on this or any of our other shows, check out our website at pseudonymsocial.wordpress.com.